There is a kind of spiritual, mythical element that can surface in Black film. There's plenty of Black religious films, yes, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a kind of film that plays in the gray, legendary space of Blackness that comes from the Black experience. Characters that feel out of place, out of time because of what they accomplish in a narrative and what they bring out of other characters. Comparing these kinds of mythical, Black-written Black characters to non-Black written characters, there's a stark difference. There's the magical Negro character, someone who has some kind of power, force, or compelling nature that uplifts a white character, system, or ideal in some way. This is not such a character. The kind of character I'm talking about is not dependent on a white system or a white world. These characters are so deeply rooted in Black America and the histories of Black people, their mythicality is more exterior than interior, their legend more a reaction from the world than an act being done. I'm talking about Sweetback, from Melvin Van Peebles' Sweetback's Badass song, and Harry from Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger. Two vastly different characters, but whose legends reveals different truths about the lived experience of Black LA across 2 different decades. But it is the communities that mythologize them, so let's first examine Peebles and Burnett's Black LAs. Sweetback is a Black male prostitute in Watts, Los Angeles. He's a self-interested man of few words, but from his limited dialogue, there is a clear shift in his me versus we mentality across the film. After beating 2 cops unconscious that were beating on a young Black Panther, the two have this exchange.
Thanks, man. Where are we going? Where you get that we shit?
In a journal article critiquing Sweetback's capacity for politics, it was levied that Sweetback is not so much a spokesman for the Black community as he is an isolated, monadic entity. Speaking only 40 words in the film, this brown Clint Eastwood is a man of action but of limited consciousness. His run when he must, screw when he can approach defeats communal resistance, organization, and identity. I think there's some validity to this critique of Sweetback's positioning, but I would argue what grounds him and frees his movement is the Black community of 1970s Los Angeles. Through music, montage, and bouts of repetition, we meet the people of early 70s Black LA. We meet sex workers, Black Panthers, church members, queer folk, parental figures, businessmen, and it is the same community that free him from the restrictions placed on his body by police. Time and time again, he is redirected, saved, spared, excused, and moved along. Even when under threat and abuse, his community did not give him up. And I think through this aiding and abetting of him, further mythifying himself as a part of a whole, but a part that stands for something more than individualized bodies could symbolize alone.
Take him. You know what you're doing, man. He's our future, bruh. Take him.
Although his legend seemed more tangible towards the 3rd act, I would argue that as early as Sweetback's encounter with the church leader were legend seeds being planted.
You saved a plant that they were planning to pick in the bud. That's why the man's down on you. That's why the man's down on you.
In the world of Sweetback, and arguably the larger Black identity, the man is a mythical entity within the Black community with completely unnatural abilities and motives. So in his upset of expected Black behavior in defying the system of the man, Sweetback becomes a legend too, catapulting him into the limelight and into tumultuous danger. Sweetback Remy is not a savior. He is not interested in the protections and revolution of all Black people. What he becomes to the community and to the audience is an outlier that unveils both the fragility of the man's system and the sheer power within Black and brown people alike. Now what about Harry?
Are you a friend, Harry?
Like that boy next door, playing his horn. If he was a friend, he would stop irritating people. But if he stops practicing, he wouldn't be perfect at what he does someday.
To Sleep with Anger houses Harry. Harry is a bit of an enigma, and vastly different from Sweetback in a lot of ways. Inspired by Southern tales of the hairy man, a shapeshifter who can't be gotten rid of unless he is outsmarted, Harry is a man from the family's past, also from the South. Unlike Sweetback, Harry has a lot to say, constantly in family members' ears, spreading whatever negative talk you could get into their minds, hoping for the seed to sow. He speaks so much negativity within and outside of the house, but it's unclear what his goal is, except to see a house divide and fall.
Some folk that always run to help the victim, deep down attracted to pain and suffering.
You should never treat a woman as an equal. Medicine that works leaves a bitter taste. You have to take one.
But through the indistinguishable cloud of Harry, there is one truth that rings true, one that is reflected in Sweetback in some ways too. And it is this.
I don't know what happened to him in the dark.
I know I protected myself and always will.
Harry is a nefarious character that brings chaos into the house under the guise of an old friend, which he is. He really is from their past. He hasn't gone on to get into dark, sketchy practices that have transformed him. He's always been this illusionary, nefarious person. But because he is also a reminder of the past, he is brought in because of what he brings out of them. And that is the tie. This community of Southerners in LA looking for themselves and their culture in a new home, fighting this assimilation of Southern being passed or backwards, there's disconnect everywhere. Between church, within the family, with internal values, all of this dissonance within each character and trying to reckon with their positioning. But it's also being the youngest in a house of men. It's being a woman with a kid at the mercy of the man you love. It's wishing for your brother to grow up and hating him for not. It's letting every unsaid discomfort simmer and boil until it morphs into something awful and ugly. It's to sleep with anger. And Harry is the product.
I've always been wild, and you know that. When you're made to feel half a man, what do you think the other half is?
Harry is a much more active, layered character, but Harry and Sweetback are both kind of these kaleidoscopes of the LA they inhabit. Harry, although embodying a bad nature in him, reflects much of the family's dirty laundry back onto them, because he doesn't exactly do anything. His presence sets the house to fall apart on their own long-standing beliefs. Beliefs of togetherness that are reflected visually and audibly within the film. Similar to the Black South, there is a rich social community that the characters embed themselves in within South Central LA. Church, chicken, and children are rampant in the neighborhood. But among their beliefs of togetherness, the family still carries their Southern culture. Harry's presence does signify more than just a malicious meanness, but also reminds them of home and creates a dissonance in their non-Southern Black LA community.
I gave him some cow tea.
I would think that you would depend on prayer rather than these old-fashioned remedies.
Harry is the formula, the reminder of this dissonance. So what does Harry's myth make possible and what works within it? I think the kind of control Harry holds over the men in the household speaks to a deeper kind of Black Southern masculinity, calling into consideration what it means to be a man, to provide, to be strong, and to be seen as such in the eyes of others, away from the backdrop of the culture that paints these roles. But Harry also brings out a lack of control in the lives of Black women in this family. He plays off of the culture of manners and hospitality to establish a secondary kind of control, binding the women to sit silently while chaos rains down on and around them. He represents a kind of badness that is undefinable, wholly inescapable, a taking to wickedness and bad will. The force of Harry is the gravity of an already cracked family falling in on itself. And when Harry dies, the house has dealt with and purged itself of the twisted dynamics that can fall upon a Black family in America. The product is reckoning. What does Sweetback's myth make possible? Sweetback's entire storyline is a reaction to a sequence of police violence that dictates his movement. It's what drives him over the border. I think the product of his mythology is a sort of revolution. This is what I find so uniquely different about this Black mythical character compared to other iterations. Those stories embed a Black character in a white world, writing in their struggle as both integral and crippling to the myth. But in these films, the struggle is present, but also a mere symptom of being Black in America. These are films by Black creators for Black people. Simple as that. And when that can be done without restriction, something magical can happen.
Say, you know,